Hey all you addicts out there, this is Jordan Knigge with Addicted Fishing. Today we're going over 5 of my favorite techniques for chasing and tracking down winter steelhead. So first and foremost, what we're going to talk about is bait. Bait is probably one of the more effective and easier to use ways to track down salmon and steelhead, whether it be a fresh salmon roe, a prawn, or a coon shrimp, something that targets in on that fish's natural feeding aggressiveness and really has a lot of scent and a lot of reason for those fish to go after it. Scent is very important to these fish because it allows them to pick up and key in on those different attributes of that bait, which is going to allow them to have a lot of scent and be able to track that bait down. And it's again very natural presentation to these fish. It's what they see in their natural world. The second technique that's probably the most popular for fishing for these steelhead is a jig. Your good old-fashioned rabbit fur jig or a marabou jig of any sort. All color ranges work very well. Really, it's just dependent on how big of water you're fishing or the color of water. So one of the benefits of using a bobber and jig presentation is that it's a very unintimidating presentation. It's probably one of the things that I would use first when I come up to a hole because it's not loud, it's not vibrating, and it's not making a lot of motion. It's a very delicate and natural presentation down to that fish. So it's something that the fish are going to key in on most, especially if they're feeling any kind of pressure from other fishing. The third and one of my favorite techniques is going to be fishing with a bead and or a corky. There's multiple ways that you can use this kind of presentation to a fish. It doesn't have to be a plastic bead, it can be a soft bead, or it can be a corky that you've pegged above your hook. But having this small egg pattern, what we would call it, is very, very effective for fishing for these steelhead because they're feeding in the river. As these float down during the spawn and throughout the season at the steelhead or in the river, it creates, again, a very natural and a very easy to identify presentation to these fish. One of the benefits of fishing a bead is that it's a presentation that keeps you down in the strike zone most commonly. When you're fishing a spinner, you're fishing any kind of bait or lure, it's very common for the water pressure to push your bait up and off of the bottom. The beauty of fishing a bead is that you're dragging it down the bottom of the river and it constantly keeps you fishing and in front of the steelhead. The fourth technique we're going to talk about is steelhead worms. One of my very, very favorite ways to catch a steelhead is with these steelhead worms. What we have here is an 1/8 ounce jig head with a plastic worm cut to about 5 inches long. These come in 6-inch worms, they also come in smaller models, but having that worm and messing with the size is very important. Cutting some off, adding some, and using different techniques as you go down. There's tons of different colors of these steelhead worms on the market. All of them work well with different watercolors. So the beauty of, again, of the worm is that you're fishing off of the bottom and in very snaggy places, it's a great presentation because you're not fishing down in the rocks where the steelhead are lying. You're fishing up above the water column and these fish are coming up to grab it. So steelhead worms are one of my favorite, one of the most effective ways to catch big fish as well. I find a lot of times we get our biggest steelhead of the year on these worms and it's a great one to have in your back pocket. Now last but not least is probably one of my favorite ways to catch a salmon or a steelhead, and that is the old faithful spinner. Okay, the spinner is a great way and it's a great cleanup. What I would like to say with that is I usually fish things like a spinner or a big aggressive worm last in a fishing hole. So what the beauty of a spinner is it's very loud, it's very aggravating for the fish, and it's very intrusive. So when you get that down into the strike zone, they almost can't help themselves but to chase the spinner down because it pisses them off, honestly. All spinner colors work great. Different spinner styles work great. This is a bullet blade. There's a lot of bell blades like a blue fox. This is an R&B. Every spinner works great given the right conditions. You want to fish them in spinner water. But the beauty of a spinner is, again, it's very loud, it's very intrusive, and it gets the fish riled up to the point where they'll chase it down and grab it when they won't touch any of these other presentations. So there you have it, guys. There's 5 different techniques for chasing down a winter steelhead. All of them work fantastically in finding fish given the right situation. All of them work better in certain spots than others. So it's very important to always have each of these when you go to the river. Good luck out there, you guys, and stay fishy. All right, addicts, thank you so much for all your support on these videos. Be sure to come down here and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to see more, get these alerts popping up so you can see all the good stuff we have coming out every day that helps you guys get out and enjoy this beautiful bounty that we have that is salmon and steelhead. Like and share this page out there so that the rest of the world can see it. Stay fishy and we'll see you guys out there on the river.